I think the most shocking thing, and you saw my jaw drop when he said there are just as many men that came forward as women, and that actually it looked like the systemic abuse of men started really to ramp up in 2015. And I can't believe it. This is a complete monster, not because of the gender of his victims, but because clearly he had no limits. And I would actually, say that with regards to what his mother said, the statement that she released, she's clearly in denial. Right, because you can't have this wave of sort of people coming forward and this much evidence, even from the Cassie video, and still say that your son is
well. That you see, that's interesting.
That's
because,
bizarre.
If I hadn't seen that video,
yeah,
I've always taken the view with all of these things, particularly since the whole Me Too thing blew up. You've got to wait for justice to be carried out. You've got to see due process take place. I think it's so important. But when I saw that video, when I saw what Diddy was actually capable of, in plain sight in a hotel corridor with this girl that he was just beating up, that was so shocking that I thought that, wow, this guy, A, he's not the person I met several times, who was very charming and nice. He's somebody very different. And B, he's probably capable of pretty much anything.
Well, we know what made it worse? The apology video afterwards, where he didn't mention Cassie's name once.
No.
He sat there and pontificated about how he sought help.
It wasn't an apology, was it? It was more of a,
I'm
I'm in the shit here, I need to get out of it.
Well, yeah,
right?
and it was just horrendous. And I think his mother is quite clearly in denial. I think on some deep level, she knows that this is a product of a household that she, and I'm assuming his father, ran. I never really think that people who are predators on that level just do it because, somehow they get power and they can get away with it. You really have to have a mentality, a psychology that's imbued in you from a young age. He either grew up in an environment where respecting people, particularly women, was just not a thing, or he was entitled and raised with this idea that actually if you amass enough power, you can get away with systemically abusing people. And I think we actually need to look at the households that produce a lot of these predators, a lot of these serial rapists and sexual assaulters, than just looking at them as individuals who've decided to go rogue. It's much more systemic than that.
Let me bring in Choke No Joke. Now, you were part of Diddy's entourage at a commercial event a year ago where he was welcomed like a king by fans and industry people. We got some ulay of that. This is Diddy as we knew him before the scandal erupted. It was actually just before the video got leaked as well to CNN of him beating up his then girlfriend at the time. Are you as stunned as everybody else? Choke No Joke about what's happened here to Diddy?
First of all, let me say hello to you, Piers Morgan. I am surprised at a lot of the allegations, but I want to correct you. I wasn't a part of his entourage. I was there independently, documenting as I do, and
I see. Yeah.
I know him from the past, so. Yeah, I was there to document the revolt.
But you have attended, unless I'm mistaken, you have attended these freak-off parties at the invitation of Diddy on occasion. And there was one party, you said, when Diddy tried to come on to you and looked at him like he was Beyonce in a bikini, you said. You were invited by Diddy personally, an industry after party. You said there were also women there who were known in the industry to be gay and so on. I mean, just... When you say you're not shocked,
all right, let me clear that up because you like mashing a bunch of stuff in, together. All right, one, it wasn't a freak-off party. Well, it may have been. I'm not sure because I didn't go inside. But it was and I wasn't invited by him. I was actually with Little Kim and Hillary Weston, who was Little Kim's manager at the time. And we had went to the BET Awards, and then we went to an after party. At the after party is when Diddy or Sean Combs invited Kim to meet us at the CEO Steve Rifkin's house. When we went to Steve Rifkin's house, which would be that after party, I was at that house that's where Diddy came on to me at. And there was a lot of people there, but I was on the outside, the back porch of the house. I never went inside. Okay. So whatever went on inside, I didn't get to see.
And when you say Diddy...
But he did come on to me.
Yeah, I mean, so tell me about that. I mean, what happened?
As far as what?
Him coming on to you.
He just made a pass at me, and I denied it, all with looks, and that was it.
How did you respond?
And that wasn't it. You know, once I realized that he was hitting on me, and I looked at my environment and realized that most of the people there were gay or bisexual, then I caught on to where we were at, and I went and I grabbed Hillary Weston and I pulled her outside and I told her, hey, Diddy's over here hitting on me, go get Little Kim, we are leaving. And that's what we did.
Because there have been a lot of rumors about Diddy's sexuality, and I think it's only relevant in the sense that the lawyer I just spoke to in Texas says that half of the victims that he's representing are male, which would suggest here that, and they're all connected in some way to Diddy, obviously claims at this stage, but that would certainly suggest that Diddy is at very least bisexual.
I would believe that to be true. From him passing on to me, a straight man don't hit on a straight man. But can I say one thing in regards to your last guest that was saying that his mother's in denial? I don't think that's a fair statement for her to say, and I don't like the fact that she said he was raised in a household with a mother and father and blah, 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 because I'm a guy that grew up in the projects. My mother always made sure I did right. My father always made sure I did right. But when I got on outside of the door of the other threshold, the streets told me different. And I did a lot of things that my mother couldn't even fathom today that I did. So when she says that, you know, his mother's in denial or she may be part of the reason for his behavior, a lot of our behavior comes from being in the street and being in the industry. And I don't think that was a fair statement.
I think you misunderstood what I was saying. First of all, of course, individuals are responsible for their own actions, but individuals are not dug up from the ground or hatched from eggs. They're raised in homes. They're raised with values and cultures. I'm not blaming his mother in any way, shape, or form, but any parent whose child is accused of these sorts of crimes will undoubtedly just reflect and think, is there anything that I could have done? That's all I was insinuating. And also, she is in denial because we've all seen that Cassie video. Someone who is capable of treating Cassie like that, dragging her around like a rag doll. I'm sorry, you shouldn't be shocked when allegations of this kind come forward, particularly with the stuff like 1,000 bottles of baby oil in his home. First of all, what is he doing with all of that? And secondly, those poor babies that have been deprived of their moisturizer, right? At some point, if you're looking at it objectively, you cannot be surprised after that Cassie video came out that he is also capable of doing the things that are being alleged against him. That's not to blame his mother. That is to say that if you're looking at this objectively, which of course she won't be able to because it's her son, you have to believe there's an element of denial there. That's not to say that people who grew up in disadvantaged situations
here's the truth.
will always turn out this way.
The truth is we don't know, right? We don't know. I think it's perfectly possible, as Choke just said, that you can be one thing with your parents, but if you then get out on the streets and you get led down various bad places, you could be something which maybe you're the one in denial to your parents. I can absolutely believe that to be but the truth is we don't know. But look, she won't be the first and won't be the last mother to defend the indefensible with her son. Let me bring in Andrew here. You're a former federal prosecutor. We've heard from a civil case lawyer who's got 120 civil actions. And I said to him, has he seen stuff that passes the bar of criminality? He says, it's very hard to say because you need to go through the whole process of building a criminal case. From everything you're seeing about this case, do you think that there is any doubt that P. Diddy is going to end up going to prison for a long time?
There's a mountain of evidence against him, and the federal prosecutors who brought this case, especially in the complex way that they did, are sure to get convictions along the way. I think that their charge sheet is indicative of years and years of evidence that they have deeply investigated at this point that will lead to undoubtedly convictions, and that will lead to a significant amount of jail time. That said, there are going to be battles along the way, both in the criminal realm as well as the civil realm, because the devil is often in the details. So the prosecutors as well as the civil attorneys are going to have to prove their case, and in most of the situations, they're going to have to prove it on kind of a day in, day out basis. On this date, this specific thing happened. The general idea that there were orgies that happened, or the general idea that drugs may have been present, or some people did drugs, some people had feelings like if they didn't do this, they wouldn't be able to advance. Some of that stuff is not going to actually raise the charges with sufficient proof to prove either in the criminal realm or the civil realm. They're really going to have to get those criminalized elements, or in the civil case, things that look like criminal actions, the kind of removal of consent, or the pushing through these acts without consent present. And when you see over 100 people in a civil lawsuit, certainly there is concern that people are jumping on a bandwagon. Perhaps they were present and they're just saying that something non-consensual happened in one of those situations. So each of those cases are going to have to be tested. And I think the final point on, especially with Mr. Busby speaking earlier, saying that there are others that might be involved. I think the feds are going to be looking at all of those people involved and kind of giving them an option. Were you a victim? Are you somebody who we can have say something against Diddy? Or is this something where you're part of the conspiracy and we're going to add charges? Similar in the civil case, you know, he's not naming names. Is he trying to reach hush money kind of settlements here? I think that as he's pushing forward the narrative that there were many people involved, we want to hear those names, and we want to be assured that there's not hush money agreements going on, and that he's not simply dangling the idea that he's going to drop these names before he has the opportunity to reach a settlement.
Yeah, I mean, on Fox News, their lawyer Brian Claypool said if Combs doesn't testify in this case, he's dead on arrival. Would you concur with that?
Testimony is something that I guess it has only some value to it, because of course he's going to deny it if he were to testify. I think what the case really comes down to is the corroborating evidence. It is difficult when an alleged victim goes in and simply testifies that this happened to me. Any case, whether it's criminal or civil, juries want some sort of corroboration. They want the feeling from the alleged victim that it happened and that it's reliable, but they want to look at that surrounding information. So are there videos that show it? And how can you interpret the different things that are in the video? What does the timeline look like, the text messages, the conversations surrounding the events? So it's all going to come down to corroboration on those individual cases. As I said, the devil's in the details. They're really going to have to prove the nuance of each case.
Yeah. I mean, Chuck, you chronicled the hip hop world for a long time. You know, I can't pretend that I'm massively shocked that the hip hop world is full of guys behaving badly and displaying, at the very, very least, rampant misogyny. I mean, the lyrics are full of it. So there's been a kind of brazen celebration of misogyny for a long time in the hip hop world. Is it really shocking that Diddy and potentially other big names in the hip hop world have been, you know, holding out the carrot of record contracts and stuff and using their fame and money to drug and abuse people?
Well, for me, you know, I've been in hip hop for 30 years, even before I was born. You know, I have a documentary out called The Hip Hop Nucleus, a documentary on the tunnel, which is out right now. But that, I've been in the club since Diddy was performing at the tunnel. I've been shooting him before he was a millionaire. So I've seen all these guys come from nothing and go to millionaires, to multi-millionaires, to billionaires, allegedly. Right? But throughout my travels in the industry, once I got to a certain point, like BET, I started to notice a different change in the industry where it was more of gatekeepers, and, you know, I had to succumb to homosexuality. There's drugs being passed around. And, you know, I don't do these type of things. You know, my mother's a recovering addict over 30 years, so I would never do drugs. But yes, these things are a part of the culture, and the sexuality is a part of the culture. And if you don't succumb to it, like myself, my career suffered because I didn't succumb to homosexuality or the drugs.
I mean, Esther, it's, you know, like I say, I can't pretend I'm massively shocked. It is shocking to see the scale of it.
Yeah.
But am I shocked that top hip hop stars, you know, were having pretty awful parties where they did pretty awful things? I can't pretend I am.
I mean, I'm a bit shocked at the lack of judgment. So P. Diddy had friends, right? He had accomplices, he had friends, he had acquaintances. Other than sort of the ground staff, the infrastructure that kept his sick operation ticking. You know, he had high profile friends. I'm not going to name them because I don't want to seem libelous, but they were household names. They were celebrities in their own rights. They were artists, they were actresses and all of that. All of whom, in the years that they've been friends with him had at least seen or suspected some sort of character defects, to put it nicely. And they still remain friends with him. They still chose to associate with him. And I draw contrast to 50 Cent, who I hope in my life I never get on the bad side of, because he is a complete bulldog. He's ruthless, right? But 50 Cent and Eminem always made it clear that they never. Together? Sorry?
I said, can I say birds of a feather flock together?
Yeah, well, yes, exactly.
All those people that you are naming about that's around Diddy, been around him, all these people, they all circled and they praised him at his time. Just 1 year ago, Diddy had the #1 album in the country with the Love album. He was celebrated. He got Lifetime Achievement Awards. He got the key to the city. They all celebrated him because they all play in the same cesspool. But now that he's in trouble, the reason why you don't see no support is because they might get pulled in. But Diddy lived a rock star life, no similar to Guns N' Roses and Aerosmith. All these guys had groupies. They all did drugs. They all went on tour. The only difference between R. Kelly and Hugh Hefner is Hugh Hefner made it to the grave with a smile on his face. All R. Kelly did was try to be Hugh Hefner. So all these people, they all, is black and is white.
Well,
right?
Hugh Hefner, to be clear, Hugh Hefner didn't sleep with minors that we're aware of, and R. Kelly did.
I mean, Hugh Hefner kept
but
it barely
there's
legal.
girls that he popped Quaaludes in their mouth. You ever hear the girl talk about how when she first met Hugh Hefner, first thing he did was made them try drugs? He drugged them?
Yeah, I'm just saying that there was a difference between minors and adults who were, on the face of it, consenting. There's a difference.
Well, the minors have not been proved yet. Those allegations, and trust me, I'm not defending Diddy. I'm just saying, let's not just make it about it's just Diddy and let's not put allegations as facts until we see the facts.
No, listen, I totally believe in due process.
Facts.
There are lots of people spraying all sorts of names out there, making all sorts of wild claims. This scandal is getting bigger every day, and we've got to remain cognizant that a lot of people have their own agendas here, might have their own feuds going on, might have their own scores to settle and so on. I was going to ask you, Andrew, just from a federal prosecutor point of view, when you get a name as big as Diddy and there's lots of money flushing around in potential settlements, how wary would you be about people just trying it on, for a cash grab?
Oh, I think that's a big concern that in the exploration to get to the truth, and that's what the prosecutors are going to be trying to do here, is they're getting to the truth in a manner that they can prove beyond a reasonable doubt. There's a lot of evidence that they can use along the way. They can take the dozens and dozens of people that are making these claims and they can look to see if it fits into the wider scheme. Is that good evidence that they're going to be able to use to bolster their case? And I think one of the big missteps along the way would be if prosecutors or if the civil attorneys put forward cases or allegations that fall flat, something that is proven to be inconsistent or something that shows that one of these folks was trying to create a buzz about them or trying to go for a money grab, and then that infiltrates and pollutes the rest of the case. Yeah. So the prosecutors, the civil attorneys, they've all got to be very careful to bring only truly credible cases of criminal acts, not people with regrettable positions that they were put in or things where they're looking back on this and trying to reframe it. Truly criminal activities are going to be the focus here, and making sure that those cases are highly reliable.
Well, that was a bit like we saw with Harvey Weinstein, wasn't it? Where there were many, many women who came forward, but they were quite careful, the feds, in the particular cases they took, so that they could almost guarantee conviction. And I think that's what they'll probably be doing here. Is, like you say, if you overdo it and you have too many cases you put forward, and some of them are suspect and collapse, you can have a very domino effect on everything. So they'll be very cautious, I'm sure. Just on something else there, Andrew, new court documents revealed today show that Sean Combs' lawyers have apparently made a third attempt for him to get bond. Now, one of the attempts involved $50 million, which in itself said to me, this is a very serious case against him, because for them to reject a $50 million bond was pretty unprecedented. The fact they keep trying to get it and keep having it rejected, what does that tell you?
Well, it tells me that the judge sees this as serious as the prosecutors do. I mean, these are crimes that are so serious that it would likely leave Sean Combs in jail the rest of his life, or nearly for the rest of his life. So the idea that if he were released, is he going to show up to his hearings on time, and is he going to not commit further criminal activity? The judge is saying that he can't be assured of that. I think some of us are surprised that Sean Combs actually remained while the investigation was going on. After his house was raided, he didn't make the kind of grand flee effort to go to some sort of non-extradition type country. So I don't know where he'd go. He doesn't have a great kind of escape option, but these charges are so serious that I think that you can put this in kind of the life sentence category, and it's really difficult for a judge to justify letting somebody out when charges are this serious and this grave.
I completely disagree. I think he has an out option, and that is popping a cyanide pill. That's the first thing P. Diddy is going to do if he gets bail. He will. He
hasn't done it yet. What? I mean, he knew what was out there. He knew that the feds were locked in on him. If he was going to take the cyanide pill, or if he was going to flee the country, he would have done it.
I don't know. I think
Can
he's
I
so
say something
arrogant.
real quick?
Let me bring in Chuck, because you know Diddy.
Can I say something, please?
Yeah.
Can I please say something, please? Ma'am, I don't know who you are, right? But I would like for you to consider that this is a man that has 4 children, right? There's more than 4 children.
7.
But he has 4 children. He has 4 children that don't have a mother. He has 4 children that don't have a father on the outside, right? Along with the other children. So as a black man, right? I don't care how detrimental your life is, right? He's not killing himself, and he's not fleeing the country with his children out here. Like, please have some compassion for
I'm sorry. This is a man who's facing sexual trafficking
if he wanted to kill himself,
people might have said the same thing.
If he wanted to kill himself, he would have been dead already.
But Choke, I mean, you might have said the same thing about Jeffrey Epstein.
Exactly.
Yeah, many of his friends would have said he'll never kill himself, but he did.
He
allegedly did.
Who's to say that he killed himself?
Well, obviously,
I don't believe he killed himself.
I know the conspiracy theories. We don't know. It is believed he killed himself, but we don't know. No,
and ironically, Piers, the cameras wasn't working when he hung himself.
I agree that there is a lot of stuff going on there, which is very.
I just think it's a bit too late for P. Diddy to try and start playing good daddy after the kinds of things he's being alleged or accused of committing, including abusing
good
Cassie,
daddy,
which we have on film.
Ma'am, I'm not saying be good daddy, and his mother didn't deny or dispel anything about the Cassie video. She actually condemned him in that, but Piers didn't read that part. But what I'm saying to you is the man ain't killing himself, and he's not playing good daddy. It's just the fact that you love your children, good, bad, or indifferent. And I'm sure his children are very, very disappointed in their father, but at the end of the day, they don't want to see him dead.
Of course not. But that's not what I'm saying they want to happen. I'm saying that this has got so bad and so out of control that I don't think it's inconceivable that he will choose to end his life.
Well, you didn't wait for the best part yet. The best part didn't happen yet. The best part is,
where he's sentenced to life in prison.
Allegedly, he's going to be indicted for the murder of Tupac and the Notorious B.I.G. I think that's what's coming down the pipeline. This stuff right here is serious, but I believe that he's going to be indicted for the alleged murder for hire of Tupac Shakur.
Can I ask you, Chuck, is that based on information that you know, that you've been told?
That's information on all the evidence that's out there.
Right, but have you? I mean, do you believe that evidence is correct? Do you think there's enough evidence that says that he was involved?
I believe from all the evidence that's been out there, all the people that talked on YouTube, that the quad hit. Diddy was there with Jimmy Henchman, right? Jimmy Henchman had a problem with Tupac. This is why Tupac got shot at Quad Studios. To make a long story short, at the end of it, you have a guy named Gene Dale that works for Diddy that says that he saw a check that a guy named Eric Von Zip had, and he told him that the check was for the murder of Tupac Shakur. Now, there's a YouTuber by the name of Doggy Diamonds. Gene Dale tells Doggy Diamonds, yo, you saw the check for Biggie's life? And he corrects me, he said, no, I saw the check for Pac's life. Eric Von Zip had a check in his right back pocket, and he said it came from Black Ground Records, right? Well, Jimmy Henchman was working with Black Ground Records. So if you tie the Tupac shooting at Quad Studio and you go all the way to the end of it, if there was a check, allegedly, if this was true, and Diddy did pay for the hit on Tupac and Suge Knight, and that check came from Black Ground Records, it leads right back to the Quad Studios shooting, where when Tupac got shot, Diddy was in the studio with Jimmy Henchman. But they don't tell that story. They make it look like Diddy was in the studio with Biggie. No, Biggie had went behind Diddy's back and got a deal with Atlantic Records and was having a secret meeting, having a secret recording session for the first Junior Mafia album. They was recording their first song. Diddy found out that Biggie was having this session. He came to Quad. He was getting ready to bust in on Biggie, but the shooting with Tupac deferred the plan. But Diddy was getting ready to bust in on Biggie to find out that he had a whole nother deal. He was in there recording. So to make a long story short, Diddy and Sean Combs and Notorious Big Christopher Wallace had a publishing deal together. With that publishing deal, Notorious B.I.G. is to write songs and Diddy gets a portion of the money. What Biggie did, which was wrong, is he went and wrote all the stuff for Lil' Kim and Junior Mafia and lied to Diddy and told him that they wrote their own stuff. So back the day before Biggie died, Gene Dale tells the story of how he was smoking weed with Biggie, and he was security. He was not supposed to be smoking. Biggie told Diddy that we need more security because Gene was high. So Gene, in return, tells Diddy, hey, man, Biggie, he wrote all the Lil' Kim stuff and Junior Mafia. Big and Diddy jumps in Biggie's face, say it, you wrote it, say it. And Big is like, oh man, come on Diddy, right? The next day, Biggie was dead.
Well, that is what they call a dropped intro bombshell. Look, there are lots of rumors to that effect. I haven't heard it spelled out in quite the detail you just did. Absolutely fascinating. All I would say about any of it is I don't know what happened and whether he was involved in the shootings of Tupac or indeed Biggie. What I do know is that when I watched that video of him beating up his girlfriend in a hotel corridor, I thought this guy is capable of a lot of very, very nasty violence against people. And so nothing...
we seen him beat Steve Stout up.
Yeah.
We seen him beat the dude at USC with the kettlebell.
Yeah.
It's no secret that he's violent.
No. I'm just saying. And if somebody's that violent, they're capable of pretty much anything. I've got to leave it there. Fascinating debate. Thank you all very much indeed.